2021, Yeti entered the e-mountain bike market after quite a wait. But in 2025, the brand has been on it. We've got the MTE, which is TQ equipped mid-power lightweight e-mountain bike. And now we have the LTE, which takes the 160E but builds upon it. We have Neil here from Silverfish, who's going to walk us through the bike, and we'll get you some first ride review impressions.
Hi there, I'm Neil from Silverfish. We're just going to go through the LTE today. A few months ago, the MTE was launched, the smaller sibling to this one. That one had 145 millimeters of travel, 160 up front. This one goes up to 165 and 170 with the choice of Podium or 38. The LTE and the MTE both use the Sixfinity platform, so tons of grip up to the sag point, and then once it goes past the sag point, it just is loads of downhill fun. The braking, so anti-rise, that's completely level all the way through, so you know exactly what you're getting every time you hit the bumps, and then with the brakes on, the bike feels planted and controlled. This model is a T4. There's a T3, T4, this one, and a C2 coming into the UK. So the T4 differs from the others in that it's got the Podium front fork, it's got the Performance CX race motor, carbon cranks, and it's generally a little bit lighter, even though it's got the Podium on front at around 24.7 kilos. The T3 comes with a 38 fork, comes with the Performance CX motor instead, with all the latest updates, of which one of those is the Kiox 400 display. All bikes feature a gravity casing rear tyre and a trail front tyre, loads of grip, lots of speed, and you'll need the grip, especially with all the new meters that Bosch are putting out at the moment. And then in terms of angles and stats, it's a 64-degree head angle, same as the MTE, but it's a bigger bike, still planted. Chainstays are 449, so they're quite long, but it's nice and stable in all the chunk. And the reach for this large model is a 485, medium's a 465, so you can kind of get an idea of where you are from those. Weight-wise, I've already said it's around 24.7, kind of hovers around that for the T3 model as well. Yeah, all in all, great bike, fun. We've just ridden it down from the top and it's been really nice, so yeah, can't wait to ride more.
All right, got both of the bikes. This is the T3 spec, right? Looks a bit more normal with that actual fork on it. It's a good looking bike. It looks great in the blue. This one, Manjo, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Manjo. It's an interesting name for an interesting colour, especially for a Yeti. But anyway, we're halfway down the trail. Let's go back down and we'll do the first ride impression stuff. Okay, so there's some cool things going on with this bike. That does kind of set it apart from the MTE. Of course, it's a bigger travel machine, but it's a 29-inch bike as standard. And then it can be changed to run a mullet. There's a flip ship in the rear triangle, which conserves the geometry depending on the wheel size you want to run. And then there's a progression flip chip just under the lower shock mount, where you can pick from three settings. So we're running it in neutral at the moment. Run it a bit forward because it's a bit more linear, and run it in the back, it's more progressive. That is something that we saw on the 160E before, but it's great to see it again, especially on a burlier e-mountain bike like this. Another cool thing is that it takes parts from the downhill bike that Yeti's team riders have been riding and that dirt jump bike. And it uses that same carbon for those stronger bikes and pops it in the down tube of this one, which makes a lot of sense because that down tube is going to get an absolute beating through rock gardens and big gnarly enduro terrain. All right, so once I get my feet in position, there are some spec things that Neil missed out. So obviously Podium, Fox X2, Shark, the new version, and I'm actually really impressed. This is the first time, or my first time with the Podium, and I've hardly done any kind of setup, mainly because there's a lot of faff going on this morning, but it feels pretty good so far. Again, yeah, not tried that hard setup, just put the recommended pressure in, wound on a bit of compression down on the high and low speed circuits, didn't even touch the rebound, and it's all good. The X2 similar as well, just pumped it up and tracking the ground very well. As with the MTE, we've got a pair of Schwalbe tyres in the radial casing. It seems that Yeti is really enjoying those casings, and oh god, we're going a bit quick. They work incredibly well. They kind of dull down the trail a bit, but importantly we've got a lot of traction. So those are the ultra soft compounds. So yeah, tons of grip, especially when that suspension comes in. Okay, so this is another bike to run the latest Bosch Performance Line CX Race motor. It did receive a bit of an update. So more power as standard, so that's 100 newton meters, 750 watts. We've got an 800 watt hour battery in this, so we've got plenty for your all-day rides here. And this motor does get some pretty cool updates. So EMTB Plus mode has changed a little bit. It still tapers out the power according to what you're putting in, which is what I really liked about it. But it's got a mode of traction control built into it, which is fantastic for the climbs. So if you're climbing up something loose, it'll dial back the power to kind of keep grip going. If you're not climbing up something loose, it'll give you everything. Pretty normal stuff there. But yeah, it actually works really well. It can feel a bit weird when riding flat stuff. You can feel it pulse as it gives you a bit more power and like kind of tapers it off. But on steep climbs where you need that control, it helps. So like, as for the ride, it is a big, rather heavy, 24 or whatever Neil said, kilos. And you've got a lot of travel, but flipping out that Sixfinity linkage is very, very good. We loved it on the MTE, loved it on the 160E, and it's still just as fantastic on this bike. Flipping out goes quick. It's super, super composed as it gobbles up all the bumps and keeps a lot of traction coming. It does a great job. It's fantastic on the brakes too. If I could look where I'm going and ride a bike properly. It's not too bad on the pedals. I mean, like, it does kind of hold the bike at sag, which is what like the Switch Infinity linkage does. But this is an e-bike. Pedals well, but yeah, it's an e-bike, so it's not really something we're that fussed about. But we've got a good seat tube angle, places weight nice and balanced in between the wheels, so it climbs really well. You know, I've got the bar fairly high on this bike, which should have the front wheel going up or wheeling up a hill, but I've not had that so far. Okay, so again, real lumpy trail. And we've got that Fox Podium fork, and we've got to have a chat about it because, you know, it is rather good. I mean, if I were buying bikes components, I wouldn't spend the couple of grand it costs for this fork as an upgrade, but that's the thing. But it is an awesome bit of kit, especially for a heavy e-bike like this. You know, stiffness is something that is important for the fork and is important for an e-mountain bike. So you've got a lot of control, but importantly, or more importantly, it's super supple, very, very sensitive. So when it comes to small bumps, or any kind of bumps basically, it smooths them out, and it's kind of one of those things that you can't feel is working, but instead you just lapping up the traction. I'll admit that fork is a bit harder to live with, so stacking sag, because the sag indication O-ring is further down. I mean, you have to have a proper look at it. And yeah, having things at the bottom of the fork, like your Schrader valve for your pressures and stuff like that, like, it's a bit of a pain, but once set up, you don't really, it's not something you have to worry about. And yeah, you just take advantage of how plush this fork is feeling. And again, I've done incredibly little, going the wrong way, to set it up. I've messed that right up. And it feels good. I said similar on my first ride review of the MTE, in the way that it made me feel super comfortable on the bike without having that much time, and it's very much the same thing here. I mean, for my standards, I'm not going slow. Ooh. And yeah, this is the first time I've ridden it. I've only been on this bike for an hour or so. Oh god. And yeah, I'm going quick. I feel encouraged to go quick. And there's not much of a consequence. I can slow the bike down a lot if I want to. There's a lot of traction, so when things get proper weird or I've messed up, you know, I've got traction to help me get out of those terrible situations. It feels great in the corners. Again, like it's a 29-inch bike, so it shouldn't feel as maneuverable as it is. But yeah, I'm feeling. But yeah, I'm feeling real happy on this bike already. Like, I'm pushing myself a little bit. Definitely not scratching the surface of what this bike is capable of, but it certainly is fast, easy going. It's helpful having big old Mavens as well. They're quite good at slowing down big heavy bikes like this. And like, playfulness on a big e-bike like this isn't really something, well, you don't buy an e-bike like this for it to be playful, but it's still got good feedback, good progression. Something that I have noticed about this bike is that it is going through its battery quite quickly. So, you know, we do have super grippy, tacky tyres, so we're not going to have the best rolling resistance there. I mean, it's going to be quite a lot. So yeah, that will have an additional drain on the battery. But again, you know, big burly e-bike will drain the battery a bit. Braining myself out of this now. So we're expecting the longer reach to give us some good stability, supple suspension in terms of grip, and the brakes, a lot of brakes. Of course, that motor is super nice for just kicking the pedals a little bit, getting a bit of drive just to help go up to those bits where it's a little bit uphill, which is surprising when the trail gets so steep. Oh, but fantastic composure from the LTE right here. Locking up the brakes a little bit, but the suspension still works fantastically well under heavy braking loads. And yeah, it just takes it all well within its stride. It's such a comfortable bike at any kind of speed and most gradients. That felt rather good. Okay, we're doing something a little bit wrong here. We're going up downhill, but I kind of just wanted to see how well it takes it on, you know, that EMTB traction mode. You know, that's a steep bit of track and it just dispatched it with no issue at all. I am having to lean on the front of the bike quite a bit. Again, like my bar is quite high. We've got 64 odd degree head angle. So it's like the front wheel will lift, but it feels good. And we've got the new version of the RockShox Reverb Axis dropper post, which has active ride tech, which means that it kind of has a bit of bounce to it if you drop it a little bit. So I don't have the dropper post up all the way at the moment. So I've got a bit of cushioning. Apparently that's meant to give you more grip. So I don't know if it actually does, but it is more comfortable. I'll give them that. It's a great climber. Again, like the power or the motor does a lot for this bike being so good at climbing. But you know, the linkage that we've got here, Sixfinity, does do a very good job of holding the shock still under pedaling nodes, so there's not a lot of pedal bump. You know, you're always going to get some, but it works. This is a jump too, so let's go up this. Simple. You know, the front end lifted up super easy there. You know, it's not a bike you're going to be bunny hopping around on. It does need a bit of encouragement from a lip or a root, but it can happen. So yeah, we're going back down the one we just climbed up, and it's a real favourite of mine. It can get proper quick, it can get very twisty. There's some good lumps in it as well, and this corner never has any traction on it, but we did all right there. So easy to carry speed on this thing. It just chews up bumps. Getting a bit loose there on the brakes. That's mainly me and being bad. The bike is super solid on the brakes. This bike is just all about delivering so much traction, and in doing so, tons of confidence. You know, I've been braking places where I perhaps shouldn't have been. I've been cornering a bit harder than I should be. Whoop. And it's just taking it. It's making everything very, very easy. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, this is an enduro bike, so we've got a lot of travel, got a lot of weight, got a lot of brakes, but it's constantly keeping things fun. Right, it's not the liveliest bike around, but you do have fun feedback there. It's not overwhelming. All right, there's some first impressions on the brand new Yeti LTe. Been flipping out. The brand's done a good job. They know how to make a decent enduro e-bike, and they've kind of just refined that formula with this. It's super planted, super grippy, full of traction, and it's so composed. Like they've done such a good job. It's still like a lot of fun to ride. It doesn't do what a lot of enduro e-bikes do and like bog down in their suspension. It's still like engaging, and there's still good feedback. Again, it's not like the liveliest bike in the world, but it's still fun. It still like takes a lot from the trail. I wouldn't say that it's like a machine that you'd want to buy for like trail center riding, but if you're riding natural stuff like we're doing today, or you want to like push bike park things, like here you go. It's got a good heft of versatility to it and a lot of headroom for very chunky riding. We don't have prices on it just yet, so let me throw you back to the off-road.cc website where we'll have a proper full ride, first ride review. And yeah, there we go. That's first ride review and first impressions on the brand new Yeti LTe. If you've enjoyed it, feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.